Hello there, and welcome back to War Thunder and to Duck Talks number 69. And I wanted to be funny a little bit and actually include here the clip of the Orange Doom saying 69. But to find this clip on YouTube made me realize, well, YouTube copyright strike is still a thing, a possibility that I don't want to really risk. So I think I let this chance pass by. And yeah, I'm not quite sure if I want to look into today's comment section because of that video title and the number of the Duck Talks. Yeah, Duck Talks, I should do them more regularly. People have asked about them quite a lot. And once upon a time, I wanted to make them a weekly series, then it turned into a monthly series. And now it's like... whenever Chingles uploads a War Thunder video, I make a DuckTales, something like this. No, but I want to make them more regular, but I very often get my attention gets caught by something else, something more shiny, some new content, ships, tanks, planes, new events, etc. But let's begin today's Duck Talks with the big bombshell. I will drop my daily content most likely because, well, something really important happens in real life. It has absolute priority and I need to nail that one. So over the course of the next few months, probably to the middle of next year, I will have less time. Obviously, I still try to make a video every 2 days, maybe even 3 days, but I think that I can guarantee one video a week. And I know that a lot of you might be outraged about this, but I hope that you still get the reasoning behind this. It is a very, very important thing, a very big project that is very important for probably the rest of my life. And while playing War Thunder and making videos about them, uploading them on YouTube is a nice hobby. You get a little bit of money. It's not really all that much. It is, at the end of the day, a relatively unreliable hobby. What if Gaijin turns upside down? What if YouTube goes full retard? Once again, you cannot really rely on this, so I hope that you understand. So less videos, but on the other hand, I have also been burned out a little bit with War Thunder, even more regular than the years before, and after 6.5 years of playing this game and standing alongside it with all its ups and downs, I hope that you can understand. I will not stop making YouTube. I will not stop playing War Thunder, and maybe this gives me the chance to make better videos because it is quite a workload to try to play the game on a daily basis, getting into a new vehicle, plane, ship, tank, whatever within a day, and then pushing out daily content. If I have just less stress on this and actually try to get the fun back, then hopefully this will be reflected in my videos. So I hope that you understand. The next question is about a Discord server, and I have played with the thought for the longest time if I should make a Discord, but I go here with the all or nothing approach. No, don't worry, we're not talking about the battleship armor scheme layout, we're talking about the effort that I put into it. I have received the offers more than once from somebody to set up a Discord and actually take all the workload from me and then just put me in charge and making me the big boss. While I appreciate those offers and I might come back at some point to this offer, at the moment, it is quite a bit of a problem going back again to the less videos because I'm not quite sure how much time that I have available over the course of the next few weeks and months. Because again, it's very important. So what use is a Discord server for all my fans, subscribers, and the people that just want to interact with me if I'm not there and if I'm not really there to talk with them? And at the end of the day, this is what a Discord server from a certain person should offer. And the next thing is, when I talk to people, it can take hours. Poor old Drakinifel knows what I'm talking about, right? So Discord, yes, I do not completely say no to this, but I cannot make any promises, and it has then to be done with full force. So that brings me now to another topic, and that has been where I was just shaking my head in disbelief. We all were aware for the longest time that certain bombers have huge repair costs, and they still have massive repair costs. Tu-4, B-29, Heinkel 177, a lot of other bombers, especially the ones with big bomb load. And Gaijin tried to address this. And credit where credit is due, they thought about a potential solution. The shame is that this solution is less than ideal and actually punishes most of all free-to-play players. Currently, a bomber gameplay, especially those set bombers, is a high risk, high reward system, and you can decide the outcome of a game in set bombers if you play them correctly in a 4-man squad and you know how to fly a bomber. I tried to make numerous videos about it, how to use the strength of a certain bomber, you know, defensive armament, positioning yourself, situation awareness, etc., etc., calling out the targets. But certain people are resistant to learning. But never mind, I'm not ranting here about allied teams once again. But yeah, the problem is that while they drop the repair costs a little bit, they also significantly killed the income. And so you still have a lot of money that goes down the drain if you get shut down, but you have then, even if you make the successful bombing run, well, just no income or barely any income. And also with the Ju-288, which is a premium bomber, alongside, for example, the Wellington and also the Japanese B-17, to just name those three. You know, people paid real money for them to either grind with them the tech tree or also gain silver lines to afford their tanks, other planes, whatever. And now this income falls away. I think that this is not right, but am I really surprised after all these years that Gaijin now tries to harass silver lines? The squadron reward vehicles are another form of premium vehicles, at least to their costs, if you unlock them with golden eagles, that just don't get the same income as a proper premium. So I hope that you keep that one in mind. I'm pretty salty about this change, or this planned upcoming change. Not quite sure what's going on currently at the forum, because I was so tilted again by that one. The next topic is a bit more pleasant, and it is around my fishing videos. So the problem with making a fishing video is the following. Very often I'm on the stretches of water alone, and to then fiddle around with the camera while you are trying to land a fish, especially the bigger ones, which I guess the footage is a bit more exciting to watch, then that is quite difficult to handle the fishing rod with fish fighting for its life, and at the same time trying to get the good footage, especially when this is mostly happening deep at night, where the fish that I'm after are mostly around, or when I'm outside there. So I might be able to make a video about how to fillet a fish, or how those caught fish look, and something along the lines like this, but I cannot promise anything. I definitely will make a story video where I can show you a lot of pictures of the caught fish and how I filleted them, and tell you about how great they tasted. Probably should send Orange some so that he can practice his cooking skills. Bad jokes aside, yeah. The next topic is then again going a bit back to War Thunder, and it is about my recent playing videos and a little bit of a controversy. And please hear me out, because I'm here to correct certain things and to tell the community this is something that I want to tell you. So please hold still, let me finish, and then you just can comment all what you want. But you have to give me the chance to hear me out, you have to listen carefully, otherwise I'm misunderstood again and the trouble begins again. Specifically, I want to talk about my opinion about about the P38K and the Italian premium BF109 G2. And I want to specifically talk here about my experience and what I tried to say in the bigger picture and what I did not present correctly. And I'm sorry about this because it was probably the third or fourth take, and I then didn't say the things that I actually wrote down. I have not a real script, but just a piece of paper where I make certain notes. And then while talking about the topic for the fourth time, because I wasn't really okay with the first, second, and third take, then certain things might get lost. Usually the first take is the best one because, funnily enough, I remember everything that I have written down, and if you try to read while you're talking, is a bit difficult if you are not really that capable of multitasking. I'm sorry, I'm one of those brain dead people that can't read and talk at the same time about different things, you know. So about the P38, let's begin with that plane because I think it's the easiest to take on. The P38 is a nice plane. It has exceptional climb rate and also very nice high altitude abilities. The problem for me was to play those cards correctly, because I think that this plane works very well if you are securing to be the highest one, and by the time I have secured that position, the rest of my team has just disintegrated and trying to hunt down and boom and zoom several, for example, zeros and every other plane that the Japanese can offer, or the Germans around this battle rating. It's pretty nasty trying to boom and zoom them at high speed when your plane has a moderate lockup if they're aware of you and make evasive actions. It just takes so goddamn long to take one or two of those buggers down, and so the experience in this plane is bad due to the teams collapsing too fast. Now, if somebody really trains it and takes it out in a squadron, it can work. Maybe I should fly it a bit more aggressive and play with the enemy team really cockily. I don't know, but the straightforward experience is really not convincing. It's a nice plane, but it cannot really get the job done by itself. I personally find it difficult to handle an entire enemy team over and over again. While the plane might have superior handling at high altitude, at the end everybody dies from you, everybody is then at low altitude, and somebody then sneaks up upon you, and you can't really hold off an entire enemy team for too long. That is my opinion. So the P38K by itself is a good plane in the right hands, but just not in mine. Let's put it that way, okay? Now let's talk about the BF109 G2, and that one is where I was having a really bad day. You know, you have this day and you just come across several things, and they are all coming together at the wrong time for the wrong reasons. And the Italian premium BF109 G2 is, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not wrong there, a lazy reskin acid flip. Especially a few things turned me really down, and those were the combination of the reduced silver line income in contrast to the very exact same plane that the Germans have. So again, a crusade against Silverline income within War Thunder for players, even though you pay for that thing, and that is not too cheap, let's put it that way. And at the same time, you know, the removal of the G55S was still in my mind, which by itself is just a better plane, in my opinion, because it has more firepower, it has more or less the same climb rate, can dive as well, and can turn better with overall better handling, all in one package. Yes, therefore you have higher battle rating, but it also has a significantly better Silverline income and has the unique opportunity to use torpedoes. While this might not be something that I could expect from a BF109, I think that this BF109, the G2, is not really an outstanding plane that teaches you directly how to fly Italian planes. Sure, it has the same kind of guns with the same ammunition. It also can carry a few bombs if you wanna fancy taking out in tank RP, and I think that the most significant part is that it also climbs very nicely. But I think that here I have a different value on the fact how much allied teams suck, because I think that a lot of the kills that I get in the BF109 are credited down to me being very opportunistic, for me being the one that farms the allied teams, that are ground striking, the bombers flying in a straight line. And I don't really think that then the hype in War Thunder about the BF109s is justified that much. And I'm really tilted then by the rudder lockup. The plane as a basis is not the greatest thing that there is. The engine is powerful, so you can get up to altitude. The guns are really reliable, and those two things I really like about the Italians. And I get the feeling, if you have a nice match, if you're flying in a squad with other BF109 pilots, if you specialize on disintegrating allied teams, then yes, you have a good time in it. But when we again have this switch in the quality of the player base, like I once said about the P51H, when then all of a sudden you face much more competent pilot, then it becomes apparent that this plane is not godlike, okay? And yes, I said that the plane is bad. No, it's not. It's not bad. It's not terrible, and it's far from being useless. I tried to give this impression in the video, and I failed to just say this as directly again, because it was the fourth take. I'm sorry about this. But what I was really shocked about was the response from the community, not the answer from other YouTubers. And I have talked to those YouTubers, I've clarified the things with those YouTubers, and it was good that I reached out to them in a friendly way. We had good conversation, or a good exchange of texts, and we cleared the air a bit. But one of those YouTubers was really annoyed that people came to my channel harassing, or trying to harass me in his name. So he apologized for that, but I only make people responsible for what they say and what they do, and not what others do in their name. Most of the time, except if they have ordered this, which this guy clearly didn't. I don't want to start here any drama, and I hope that you guys understand this in the right way. At the end of the day, we try to play War Thunder, and we try to play the game for having fun, That it turns out into a massive grind fest, and people get salty about screwed up flight models and bugs and things that do not work, or overpowered premiums or underpowered premiums, lazy asset flips. That's something else. Again, going back to the video with the lesser video output that I just find the positive part in a plane, tank, and ship. But again, without telling you a lie, with fully giving you my opinion, but giving a bit more time to it. But again, I try to point out in my one of my other videos, the ME262A1A/U1, that it isn't a review, it's a gameplay video, okay? And I cannot play a plane for hundreds of battles in a single day. So you all have to keep this in mind. And I hope that I clarified this. Don't go into anybody else's comment section and harass them. This is one of the reasons why I personally don't really mention any other YouTuber in a bad way, here on YouTube at least. Because then some people think that they have to go on a crusade and that would help me. No, quite the contrary. I will solve any sort of misunderstandings, hopefully before they go widespread. But sometimes that's not in my power, because I said something that I didn't mean this way. And it's very, very important that I get this message out there. So very often the soup doesn't get eaten as hot as it gets cooked. That's a German saying, by the way. And please don't start a drama about this, and let this die down. And when it comes to the videos, yes, I should focus again a bit more on tanks. I have neglected them. Yes, I get this. The same with ships. I will not stop making ship videos, and I really fancy making those reviews. A lot of people that watch them really like them, and I think that the cooperation with Drakinifal is just something that is unique, that I really enjoy, and I want to continue that. Talking about continuation, if you have questions that you want to address to me, please hashtag them with #question, because later on when I make the next episode of Duck Talks, I can filter them out easily. I read all the comments that I get every single day. Very often I don't have the time to answer them, or I just don't know a proper answer, but I still appreciate the comment, giving it a thumbs up. Only the very best comments get a heart from me, because that's just how I work. You really have to put effort into a comment, either making me laugh or presenting a unique, awesome fact that, by the way, should be true. And then you get a heart in the comment section, you know. And don't be too slimy towards me that I'm the best YouTuber, blah blah blah. But it's nice to be appreciated, I have to say this. So every time somebody says that he liked this video, not just liking the video with the like button, then this is really appreciated, and it just lifts me up. It lifts my spirit a little bit every time I read something like this. And that is one of the nice experiences that you can have with making YouTube video. But now at the end, finally, let's answer those questions. Again, if you have questions, hashtag them, #question, and I can filter them out easily. And I only have time today to answer those that previously were hashtagged with #question. First question comes from King Blaine. Question: what do you think of the T-28 and the T-28E? I guess you're talking about the Soviet low-tier ones. Well, they are interesting for a short period of time, but they are definitely no game changers. I appreciate them while one-shotting them. That's all that I have to say about those two tanks. Reaper basically asks a very long question that boils down to what comes after we have reached fictional territory, and also what Gaijin will implement to keep the hype going. Well, first of all, I think that Gaijin overcooked the implementation of newer and newer tanks. It made them a lot of money very quickly, and now they have to deal with the mess months way too late. But it doesn't really matter, because they made the money already. What comes in the future, the question comes from before I think the Chinese nation was announced. Well, China is now there, which is a nice thing, but it gets a lot of critique for being a copy-paste nation, and to a certain degree that's true. But on the other hand, I think another candidate would be the Swedish tech tree. And yes, new nations can be a thing. There is still the option of the international tech tree, that is just an addition of multiple nations' designs of pre-World War II, World War II, and post-World War II, up to the modern era designs. That would be something really nice. And then they also still could always fix lower battle ratings to make them more attractive. And there are still quite a few tanks to be implemented alongside planes, and especially ships. And I think ships is then the last in the line of the Holy Trilogy within vehicles. Helicopters still don't exist for me, believe it or not, and I think that's the way that Gaijin goes. Spatial Sonic 77 asks: War Thunder are good positive way and actual negative situations. In top 3, what is your best positive balance, fun mode, vehicle, game mode, stable way in Global War Thunder, and the 3 negative balance, fun mode, vehicle, game mode, stable way need change? I like your videos and I'm a French player, baguette bias. Bonjour, mon ami. So the thing is, I'm not quite sure how I should read this question, because it's written a bit complicated, but I think currently I am really enjoying the ships, the cruisers, when they work, when I have those long-range artillery duels. It is something different. It is slow-paced in contrast to planes and tanks, and maybe I'm getting old, but I just love to get the correct firing solution and just blasting at the enemy with 8-inch guns and just drop that armor-piercing salvo into the magazine and getting the kill, like in the Admiral Hipper gameplay, and where I showed it how powerful that AP is in the gameplay, especially with the 14 kill gameplay. I might re-show it here for all of you that have not seen it. The three negative things that need change are compression, first of all, then the feature and power creep. So, for example, tanks meet with thermal and infrared imagining, as well as stabilizers, versus tanks that just don't have the same, and then they get thrown into a scenario, a night battle, where they just yeah, oh, I died, I have no idea from where, oh, this is fun, you know. So those are the two most different things that I can point out. So I don't have too many examples that I can just snap my fingers and think about, but I hope that you don't mind when I move on to the next question, which comes from Trigger Hippie. Hashtag question: would you like to see fuel consumption mechanic in ground forces? Would you support this idea, and what are your thoughts about how this would be implemented in the game? Well, first of all, I have to say that fuel consumption is a very important aspect about planes, and in my opinion, planes alone. There you can kill the game's fun by too much realism, especially if it's implemented the wrong way, because how would you implement fuel? Would it then reduce the weight if you take minimal fuel for like half an hour? Is your driving style affecting it? And also, what about the fuel quality? Capturing a fuel depot that does this possibly increase the combat capabilities and the endurance of your tanks in hopefully what comes ground enduring confrontation? So that raises a whole new barrel of opportunities, pun intended, and I think that this is also opening the box of the Pandora, if you know what I mean. Gaijin also long in the past has said something about engine overheat, etc. in tanks, that this is something that they don't plan on. So I'm not talking here for Gaijin, obviously, but I think that this is complicating the scenario a little bit too much, and even if you receive hits in the fuel tank over and over again, it's then absolutely frustrating to be able to repair the tank, to extinguish the fire, but then your fuel has run out and you are stuck in the middle of nowhere, despite, you know, just unlocking the repair tool, etc., and the fire extinguisher, and you're still stuck. So maybe Gaijin implements in another module, like fuel drop, airdropped fuel, something like this. Oh, just don't give them ideas, Napalm. Bad Napalm, bad Napalm. Bad question. Rudolf Antler asks, question for DuckTalk69, smiley. Have you been at Wacken Festival? Yes, and that for not the first time. I have been to the Wacken Open Air since 2009, and the tickets for 2020 have already been ordered and sent on their way, and it was amazing as usual. I made already one video about it. Maybe I will make another video about some of the concerts, but I have to be really cautious with the copyright striking thing, so I don't want to risk it. I have to be careful about this. But yeah, I have been there, it was amazing, and I can't stop going there. Marcus Yutzkorellis, I hope I pronounced that right, asked the question, what's your favorite aircraft of all time? Do you mean within War Thunder, or do you mean in real life? Because in real life there are just so many awesome aircraft that are also looking very nicely. I've made some pictures on the Hahnweide, where I have been for the second time, and I was absolutely baffled when there was when the ME-262 was flying above my head, just like 10 meters in height. It was amazing to see. In War Thunder, I think a lot of the American aircraft are really amazing. Something like the P-47, the Corsairs, they are really, really nice, all versions of them to look at. But when it comes to my all-time favorite aircraft within War Thunder, Oh, it's pretty hard, but I think I have to give it to the TAR 152H1 in terms of looks, performance. You know what? I could actually revisit that thing because I haven't flown it in ages, and it has very high repair costs, so that's another reason. I hope I answered this question. Let's move on to the next one. Six Semper Tyrannis is asking, what is your opinion on stabilizers at around 6.0 to 7.7, and what would you do to fix them, if at all? Well, overall stabilizers appear at much lower battle rating. I think the Sherman with battle rating 3.3, maybe some American tanks with those vertical stabilizers at even lower battle rating. I think that is giving those tanks a very huge advantage, especially in city fighting, especially in fighting around the corner, to just snap in this shot at very low speeds. At around this battle rating that you mentioned, 6.0, 7.7, obviously the British have a massive advantage in the combination of stabilizer, rate of fire, and APDS. And I don't really think that they should fight tanks of 5.7 that just have no advantage whatsoever over and over again. But funnily enough, when I play those British 6.7s, they get up tiered all the time. And when I then fight with my 5.7s, I meet them all the time, so it's not really fun. I think they should receive an increase in battle rating, but then they shouldn't face those tanks of higher battle rating that often. So again, this is just a symptom of the insane compression with power creep, with feature creep within War Thunder. It's just too much. I hope I answered that question. Simman56 asks, hashtag question, what is your personal rating of the Six Nations? Not in terms of how meta they are, but how much you enjoy them. From 1 to 6, best to worst. Oh, I cannot answer this question, and by the way, I think we have 8 nations right now, so yeah, it depends on the battle rating from 1 to 10, it depends on planes, tanks, ships, and helicopters, arcade, realistic simulator, events, it wildly varies, and also between the patches, changes will see the light of day that affect that. Personally, I despise overpowered things that just stupid because they just water down the feeling of reward that you get for a good game. So it should be something solid. It should be something with strength and weaknesses where my skill makes the difference. So if I misplay, I should get punished. If I play correctly, I should get rewarded. And if that works correctly, then War Thunder is the best that there is. Strategic Person 95 asks, hashtag question, how do you think the balance between air and ground should be dealt with in realistic battleground forces? He continues with a long article about certain examples, etc. So I think I have some great ideas, to be honest. First of all, a certain area of the spawn should be unnukable. Even if a 5-ton bomb would explode right next to it, the blast shouldn't enter this area. Point number 1. Point number 2, that every plane is forced to use a fuse delay of 1 second. At least 1 second is like nothing. Point number 1. Point number 2, if the player crashes due to using kamikaze attacks, then the player within that bomb splash radius shouldn't get killed. So that would result in a drastic reduction of those kamikaze, revenge, suicide kills, of which I would drastically approve. That would be a great change, and it's totally doable. Because, for example, if you say, oh, that's unhistorical, etc., etc., yeah, those kind of suicide attacks of, throwing one plane away for a tank is also not very historically accurate. And that is already securing the area of props and early jets. When it comes to then how SAMs are working versus helicopters, and helicopters just being able to fire at tanks with impunity if there is no SAM or anti-aircraft gun nearby, then I think that's an entire different topic. That battle rating is kind of screwed, but I think for the prop era, that would be a really great solution. A little bit of a non-effect area around the capture zone, not the capture zone, the spawn zone, so those 5-ton nukes into a spawn don't happen. Point number 1. Point number two, that bomb delay with 1 second, and if the player crashes within that time frame due to just driving the plane into the ground to secure the most precise bomb drop, then he shouldn't receive the kill. I think those two easy solutions are totally doable. And if you think about aircraft, when they are on the runway, they don't collide with each other, only in air. And that's also an artificial implementation, and nobody is really against it, right? So I hope I answered that question. Technoflow asks, what's your favorite music to listen to, genre, albums, band, etc.? What do I think of folk music, and the best metal band, what is it? So first of all, I'm a massive Rammstein fan, but I also like any sort of good rock and roll, metal, black metal, death metal, whatever. And there are even some radio songs that are good to listen to. But certain songs absolutely tilt me if I get forced to listen to them all day long on the radio, because I can't stand this. Hence, while aux music, best music. So I think some of the best bands out there, there are so many: Arch Enemy, Amon Amarth, AC/DC, something along the lines like that. Due to all down to all the black metal and death metal bands. It depends on the metal band and the band in general, but also some of the more widespread bands like Sabaton, etc. They're also having some really great songs, but when it boils down to the best band that there is, it's Rammstein. End of discussion. There are other bands that are great, but they're just adding. Rammstein is the best that there is. And I'm not saying this because it's a German band, but because it's just delivering the best music, a lot of funny controversy, and also the live show. I have been to Vienna in August. It was absolutely stunning, and when you have seen a Rammstein live show, you'll never forget. So I hope I answered that question. Ace Republic asks, #question, what do you think of changing the regular game mode to be more like, if not exactly, enduring confrontation, where the maps are larger, people can complete different objectives that best suit their ships, planes, tanks, as well as interesting and aggressing from the battle depending on how much time they want to spend in a match. For ships, there could be commerce raiding, shore bombardment, and sub-hunting. For tanks, there could be a mission to destroy a fortified position, and better optimized modes for the horrendous World War mode. Of course, all of this taking place after the Great Decompression. P.S. Love all of your videos. That was actually, answering your own question. Enduring confrontation is one of those huge opportunities for Gaijin that they just neglect so heavily. And whenever there is an enduring confrontation test, I try to play it, and I try to feature it, and I try to critique it in a positive way, to mention things that should be changed, that should be optimized. And sadly, the reward in those enduring confrontation, when it comes to civil lines and RP per hour, is way below that of a normal realistic battle due to the modifiers, etc. But at the end of the day, Gaijin could deliver so much more with just using the inherent building blocks of War Thunder just in a little bit of a different way. The maps are there, the mechanics are there, the size of the maps is sufficient, and you just can weld together the already existing maps like Volokolamsk and also Port Novorossiysk. We have 3 different versions of those said maps. Just you can start in the middle, and then the front line shifts, and you can just drive one side to the edge, and then you finally defeat it, and that is giving you the victory. And for ships, you said it, so much opportunities for shore bombardment, sub-hunting missions, etc. Although subs should be AI, and because player U-boats, they're not really that healthy for the game, I can tell you. But yeah, so many opportunities. Completely agree to your statement. I would love to see this. But then there's again the split of the player base. On the other hand, I think that this would attract older players that have left War Thunder because they can't stand this stupid grind, and it would just bring a new fresh wind to the game experience, which is, or should be, the entire selling point of the game. Baywatch asks, hashtag question, hey Napalm, what's your idea for upgrading test drive experience? So, I think you mean the default test drive where you can test drive a premium vehicle that you want to buy, or whether you can then decide you should go for this or that tank to unlock for the next unlock. So that's possible, and I completely agree that you should be able to change a little bit the conditions. So first of all, the map, then the targets, then the battle rating spread, multiple targets, as well as the crew level, as well as if the tank should be stock and fully upgraded, as well as multiple types of ammunition, which currently isn't really that possible, if I'm correct. So I think that's possible. I think that would be a good thing for War Thunder. Completely agree to the fact that it is necessary. If you stated this, no. So that's my idea basically. Johnny Walker, hashtag question. I would love to pay monthly for the game like for World of Warcraft, if then they would fix the game and bring back historical battles and full real battles, etc. Wouldn't that be a suggestion to them, and do you think they would take a look at it? Oh boy, I'm not quite sure if you know what kind of box of the Pandora you would open there, and which has already been opened in the past. In fact, a monthly subscription was their final idea on the later stages of the first introduction of the Enduring Confrontation, where they asked the community if they would accept this. There was a massive uproar in the community where they said no, and we're already paying so much for the game, etc., etc. And that was actually the final nail in the coffin for Enduring Confrontation to be actually implemented. And now and then they just bring it back from the dead for a weekend to be enjoyed, just to tease us, and maybe they try again. And also about the fixing the game, I don't think that this is a question about money, or rather that money is actually causing the problems. With the overheated implementation of those top tier vehicles for over a year by now, when it comes to tanks and also planes, they have broken promises, and they actually increased the problem of compression, and that then resulted in where we are right now, because it made them so much money. Fixing the game sadly doesn't bring them the money in their books. I think it's more than necessary. I think they have earned enough money with this overheated implementation of top tier stuff and new tiers of premiums, etc. They made a shitload of money, believe me that. And just renaming historical battles and real battles, full real battles, from realistic battles and simulator battles, I'm not quite sure if you mean that, or if you would bring the old scenarios. I'm not quite sure about Sims. About realistic battle, I think some scenarios were gone, but new scenarios were introduced. I think it dumped down a little bit, and yes, I would love to see a bit more variety within Air RB and not just the reskinned Tank RB maps. So I hope I answered that one. The Fool asks, hashtag question, in regards to fix the game in 1.91, since it is the content creators of War Thunder that have the largest voice and platform for the players of the game, what are the chances of all of you content creators getting together and becoming a unified single voice on the subject? It is many voices in total and complete agreement that get things done, etc., etc. I get your idea. First of all, a Discord, like you describe later, has actually been set up quite a long time, and we have been raging there about how the game is broken, and we have shown pictures, Twitch clips, YouTube videos, etc. And we all get said the same thing over and over again: just make a bug report. And it is the same old story over and over again. And I have mentioned this again before. We just can do the bug reports. We are not unified on any single topic. And then how should you value the opinion of one content creator towards the other? Is it the amount of videos that he makes? Is it the amount of editing he puts in? Is it the amount of subscribers? Is it the like to dislike ratio of the videos? Is it the presence in social media that counts? What is my opinion worth with like 20, 3,000 subscribers compared to somebody that has 200,000 subscribers. You see the problem there? And also when it comes to, is it now fixing a certain game mode or should we replace it? And there are so many ideas, and to get hundreds if not thousands of content creators and their opinion on the one head is merely impossible. So again, it's just bug reporting, and it is just exchanging some ideas, a little bit of a chat, but every single time somebody tries to push forward an idea, it gets smacked down, and no, it's a bad idea, and then a Gaijin shield comes along, no, it's fine as it is, and so it's again a huge box of the Pandora. I know that I've said this quite often today, but that's just how it is. Very interesting question from Chi. Question for Duck Talks number 69. How is your romantic life, Napalm? You know, I visit the Orange Doom and Mike goes boom in the cellar once in a while. I hope that answers your question. Dominique9325 asks, hashtag question, how do you feel about the T55AM being in the same battle rating as the Leopard A1A1 despite having numerous advantages? So who has the advantages in what? Because the T55AM has APAG and also has to a certain degree better armor, as well as an ATGM versus anti-helicopter work, also a heavy machine gun, which the Leopard A1A1 doesn't have, even the L44 not. But then when it comes to speed and firepower and just brute force, then the Leopard beats it. I'm not quite sure that if the T55AM deserves the same battle rating as the Leopard A1A1. It should be a touch lower due to the meta. But again, then we go into the cycle of where then it shows the compression, and then the Leopard A1A1 L44 having the same status as when it was at 9.0, that then it gets washed away by the XM1 spam, etc, etc. So it's again a symptom of compression. Then M1A1 Abrams asks, hashtag question, what are your stats? For example, how tall are you and what is your weight? Well, I weigh too much and I'm way too small for a bikini career to be successful. Yeah. Mario Nelson Madeiros asked about my internet provider and what he should get because he moved to Frankfurt in Germany and he wants an internet contract. So it depends wildly on how good the internet is in general in your area. Mine gets currently upgraded, so I hope get better internet connection and better bandwidth, etc. So I have no idea how good they are in Frankfurt, mine, but you have to look for that specific area. I cannot tell you. Harry Kalmos asks, why have ghost shells not been fixed? Well, I don't know, because I don't play at those battle ratings with APFSDS too often recently where that happens. Also, your question is over a month ago, before the patch, and I have heard that ghost shells have been dropped quite dramatically. I have no personal experience, I can't tell you. Then Raphael Balog Alfred asks, question, will you think Gaijin will make a live quality update maybe in 2.0? I have no idea. It's Gaijin. They just do Gaijin things. A live quality update? You mean fixing the game and just decompressing and changing the meta for the better? Yeah, we hope for that for over 6 years by now. Another question from Buster Murray. Hashtag question, have you ever tried sim in tanks or planes or played games like IL-2 or DCS? Yes, I have played tanks in sim. I have 2 videos of them. I think the Hellcat is one of them. And have I ever played IL-2? Yes, but that's a very, very, very long time ago, like 20 years ago. One of the earliest games. I then set everything to arcade. Yeah, story of my life. But yeah, I've played those games. Xpetka3000 asks, hashtag question, if Gaijin implements rewards for bombers flying information, would that be one of many needed steps toward improving bombers in realistic, etc., etc.? Then would dynamic spawn points help to prevent spawn camping? As well as, according to advertisement for War Thunder, I had opportunity to hear lately there are 20 million players in the game. Would additional diverse game modes further dilute player base and extend queue times? Sarcasm question. So first of all, I don't know how you should reward the flying information. I think your reward is then having a better chance for surviving. Then the next thing is dynamic spawns. It depends. When suddenly the spawn of the enemy tank is behind you, then no. If there should be a certain bigger spawn area like the southern part of the map, that is an opportunity, or more spawn points is also an opportunity. Then you can choose where you exactly want to spawn. As well as 20 million players, there are probably 20 million accounts, but somebody just registers himself, plays a few games and says nah, and that's one of 20 million players, right? So I don't think that there are that many active players. It's below 100,000. If the game would play its full strength and be really cool and well designed without the scam tactics that Gaijin pulls off, I think we easily could have 300,000 players on a bad day. Yeah, I'm truly convinced that War Thunder has this potential, but again, it gets wasted by Gaijin. So I hope I answered that question. Mr. Fluffles asks, should the ammo rack of the Tiger 2 P&H be put back in its original place, which is under the turret and inside the hull, because my Tiger 2s are always getting ammo racked? Well, they would get ammo racked anyways, because then an enemy would switch fire to the hull. But I get your point. I think if you find a historical document that proves that, then you always can make a request on the Gaijin forums if you have true evidence that this was ordered to the tank crews. I'm not quite sure about that. I've heard this in the past, but I'm not quite sure. Then Elmel Giefro asks, do you like polka music, or as you German call it, Volksmusik? I live close to Germany, Croatia, and that has been influenced by Austrian Bavarian culture. Sorry for the off-topic question. I think since you are Bavarian, you must like it, and something Bavarian and my country is proud of. Yeah, I love folk music if it is in the right places. For example, if there is a Volksfest, so where you are in the beer tent and you are in your lederhosen, etc., you know, the typical Bavarian stuff where it gets featured, and people that don't have tradition, Americans, make fun of. Yeah, then it is really appropriate, and good folk music is good. It's not something that I would listen to every single day, but it has its right place. Damien030303 asks, what's your favorite tank, plane, ship for each nation? Oh, as I said before, that depends on the patch, that depends on the battle rating, conditions, etc., the flight model, driving model changes, etc. But when it comes to tanks, I think the Super Hellcat does have my heart, as well as the P-47. And when it comes to ships, currently I think the Chapayev is too strong, and the Admiral Hipper is just the perfect ship at the moment, I have to say. Claudie Foucan asks, hashtag question, what do you think about the possibility for Gaijin to use some community anchors to fix some urgent problems in the game? Maybe asking them if some changes will be good, or not asking them for some fixes. By anchors, I mean very experienced players, content creators, or recognized members on the forum's social media. Well, we once had this attempt. I'm not quite sure how it was called. The Player Council, something along the lines like that. I'm not quite sure, but I absolutely would agree that this is one good step forward. But then again, it depends on how much they give about somebody else's opinion, and if this is not just for social media purposes, and then that person gets all the blame instead of the people in the forums, or the devs. So yeah, it's a medal with two sides, I guess. So that's it for me today. The video has been quite excessive. I think I answered most questions. There were some big questions that I just simply didn't have the time to answer. About how what fixes the mouse. I think now it's removed, so that is now something for different ages. But I hope that you enjoyed the video. Please give it a like if you did. Subscribe if you want to see more. If you have a question, enter hashtag question in the beginning so I can filter it out. And as usual, we'll see each other in the skies, on the battlefields, and on the waves of War Thunder.